Now today we're here to honor those who began a project in the spring of 1991. Now it opened to the public, Benham's Grove, on April 25th of 1992 and remained instrumental in its growth over the past 20 years. We have much to celebrate today and all year long, and Benham's Grove has many events that are going to be planned all throughout the year to commemorate this milestone. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to our mayor, who is proclaiming today as Benham's Grove Founders Day, the Honorable Mark Kingseed.
Well, thank you, Kim. It's really nice to be here and to see so many familiar faces here, the people who have worked and done so much to make this beautiful facility a reality. I looked at the video in there and I saw some of you there, and gosh, Steve, I almost didn't recognize you with your hair a different color, but I think there's a lot of us who could be in the same situation. You know, 20 years ago was a long time. A lot has changed since then, but also a lot stayed the same. If you look back on it, that's when our president, George Herbert Walker Bush, was running for re-election. We'd just come off a big victory against Iraq in the first Persian Gulf War. The economy was coming out of a recession, and there was this young whippersnapper named Bill Clinton who was running for president. No one gave him much of a chance then, but so a lot has changed. But it was a time of great leadership here in the city of Centerville. It's hard to remember now, but at the same time that Benham's Grove was being thought about and being purchased and being developed, the city was in the middle of the golf course at Yankee Trace, the annexation, some legal battles with some of our friends, and with the development of the golf course and the housing. At almost the same time, there was significant efforts going on at Stubbs Park and the amphitheater, which went up. So early 1992 was a time of great leadership. There were amazing things going on in the city, and the thing that strikes me when I think back over the last 20 years, even though it was a long time ago, there are some things that have absolutely stayed the same. And one of the things that has stayed the same is that this facility has developed through the leadership of Shirley Heinz and Sally Beals into an absolute gem. This old farmhouse, and I guess you could truthfully say kind of a little bit run down, has been transformed into this magnificent jewel. And so many hundreds and thousands of people in this community have benefited from Benham's over the last 20 years with weddings and graduation parties and other family celebrations. And tens of thousands of people have come here over the 4th of July celebrations to partake of the green space and just the beauty that is here. And so that is something that, even though time has gone by, that is something that is permanent. And the other thing that's permanent is the effect that good leadership and hard work and dedication, the benefit that it can bring to a community. I think we're blessed for all of you who are here who were involved in this project, and we're going to be recognizing many of you by name later on and this morning. But I also want to especially give thanks and appreciation to my two predecessors as mayor, Shirley Heinz, who was the mayor at the time this project got going, and Sally Beals, who was really the project leader turning this into a reality. So now I see in this agenda that I have that I had 3 minutes, and then it's like boom. Now, Bob was telling me that Abe Lincoln only took 2.5 minutes for the Gettysburg Address, so I don't think I've measured up to that, but I do want to, we are going to take a break now in the ceremony, because the Friends of Benham's Grove, which is a group that has done such tremendous work, and we're so grateful. They have put together a really fantastic brunch for us. It's been prepared by Tom and Trish Welton. So we're going to break for the brunch now, and then after that we're going to proceed with the ceremony. So based on my notes here, I think we're supposed to say that this, well, nope, I guess, yep, I already pointed, you guys are at first table. You guys go on in, and the Benham staff will lead you to the buffet. And then while we eat, we're going to be hearing some great music from Mike Glenn. So thank you all very much.
I would like to welcome Shirley Hines. Shirley.
Thank you, Kim. And Kim, I want you to know that our clock radio awakens us to you every morning. So.
That's good to hear.
Oh, well, I think that Kim sort of covered the waterfront as far as the very beginnings of Benham's Grove. Yes, I did get a call one day from someone named Amy Troman, and she said, I think the city might be interested in green space. And I said, well, we are, but she said, we might have some property that you would be interested in. So I said, well, come on in and we'll talk about it. So she did. So after we chatted for a while, I said, well, where is this? And she whipped out this little plat plan. And I said, oh, that's the Gerber property. And she said, yes, I'm a Gerber. And I said, oh. So I said, I'll bring it before the city council. Obviously, I can't do anything like that on my own. And also before the city manager, who at that time was Darrell Kenning. And so things progressed, and the council at that time thought it was well worthwhile looking into it, because when else would you be able to get green space in the middle of a very developed downtown area? So at that time, she said, this Amy Truman said that the various contracts that they had previously had on the property, each one had fallen through. And she said, we are willing to drop the price if the city would be interested. So that was the beginning. And then we had to figure out, once the preliminary work was done, how are we going to inform the community of what we're going to do? And so we talked about it, and Sally was on the council at the time. We talked about a show house, a designer show house. Well, all the men on the council had no idea what we were talking about. So all I could do was ask Sally if she would chair this, because it was we were familiar with it because it was done very similarly to the Philharmonic show houses in the past. And the year we were going to do it was not going to conflict with a Philharmonic show house. So I appointed Sally to be the coordinator. Well, the rest of the story is what you see here. But in conclusion, and I want Sally to come up momentarily, in conclusion, something like this is important today, not because it was started, but because every subsequent council and city manager and employees of the city and a volunteer group such as Friends of Benham's Grove have made all of this possible today. And it has been so enhanced since the very beginning, and I do give all of those groups that I just mentioned a great deal of credit for seeing it through and making it better and better. So Sally, come on up here and tell us what you did.
Well, my first recognition of what is now Benham's Grove was a great big sign out here that it was for sale. And it had been for sale for quite some time. And I had, my children were growing up and my father had passed away, and so I was looking for some volunteer stuff to do, and was appointed to the Board of Architectural Review. And the very first meeting, which Steve Feverston probably remembers well, was that they wanted to put a Perkins pancake house here. Tear down the house and put up the Perkins. And fortunately, the city had us in good stead with having an architectural preservation district, so we could say, no way, Jose. And that's indeed what we did say. And I had a couple of other developers approach me and say, can we tear down the house? And I would say no. It was part of the book Sense of Place, noted as the Joseph Benham house, and so there was no question in our mind that they were not going to tear down this house. Other historical aspects of it is that it was part of the Aaron Nutt property, and it was the last remaining green space of the Aaron Nutt property, and it represented what Centerville had been until about 1950, when the development became very strong out here, and the mini farms were being developed. The property was so overgrown, and I will never forget Jim Singer's pants when when we got done walking through the property, full of nettles and all kinds of debris from all of the weeds and the. And I hope nobody got poison ivy, because there was this was 8.6 acres, and I swear there was 20 acres of poison ivy and honeysuckle. So it was really quite overgrown and really in a great deal of disrepair. There were two other chicken coops over here. Both had fallen in roofs. There was in one of the chicken coops there was a cart from a grocery store. I'm not sure which one, but somehow or other it had made its way there, and it was full of just kind of debris and so forth. The Schmiedings were the ones who had really used this as a quote unquote, to use Dorothy Gerber's term for it, a Shangri-La. Mr. Schmieding was her father, and he was an NCR executive, and so this was their place to get away from it all out here. And the cottage, what we now call the cottage, was his man cave, where he could take his friends and play cards and smoke. Mrs. Schmieding said there'll be no smoking in the house. So, so anyhow, that was where he had. That was why there was a fireplace there, and so anyhow, it was a great project. We toured it. We knew there was going to be a lot of work to be done, and I cannot say enough about city staff. City staff was absolutely dedicated to this project. I can remember Judy Gilliland bringing coffee to the contractors to get this done on time at midnight. and I can also remember her standing up to some of the designers who wanted to do some things that weren't not going to be done. We wanted the show house, unlike the Philharmonic show houses, we wanted it to be hold together. We wanted the paint and the finishes of everything to be something we could use. And so Sharma Stone was the one who dug deep into the paint on the outside and picked out the color that it now is from a chart of Victorian paint colors. She also chose the rest of the paints and so forth that we wanted in the house, so that we wound up with a good product. We wanted to raise money with the designer show house, and we did. We raised $21,000, which I was very proud of. We had a painting done. We served lunches out here, and unfortunately, Joanne and Jim Treffinger have passed away, but they have made some wonderful lunches over here in a tent that we put up. The Historical Society did 2 Victorian teas that were extremely popular, even though it was very, very cold, and I caught heck for that because everybody said we should do it later instead of now, but I couldn't do it later because I had 2 kids getting married that summer. And we had to go to Rhode Island to retrieve our daughter, and John got married in August and Jennifer got married in September, 3 weeks apart. So it was a busy year. I always call it the year I'll never forget but don't remember. So the house is three buildings actually that was put together. The front part of the house was built by Joseph Benham in 1885. And then the middle part is the oldest part, and when they dug down into the foundations and so forth, they found some interesting things, and so that was connected, and then eventually the garage was connected to make the third building that created what is now the Gerber House. It was just a fantastic project, and I cannot say enough about city staff. They volunteered. Steve Feverston and Alan Schwab were out here putting up this fountain. I have a picture of Alan Schwab with his pants rolled up in the water of the fountain, making sure that it was not clogged up, making it work at the last minute. The stone here, by the way, was stone that was saved from what was once a sidewalk here in Centerville. And they decided that concrete was better than limestone. I'm not sure why, but nonetheless they took it up, and so the Schmiedings saved this, and this had been a patio, and so we saved the stone and integrated it with the brick so we could enlarge this area, so we could have a much larger area for meetings and so forth. We just had a great time doing it, and when it was all, there were 13 people on the committee that I had, and they each performed a different job. Patricia Fleischner, who's here today, was in charge of the craft show, and it was in the barn as well as weekend craft shows. We started on the 25th and we ended on Mother's Day for 2 weeks and 2 weekends. Let's see, is anybody else here that I haven't recognized? I'm going to get myself in trouble. Oh, Janet Tobaben was very quick to remind me that she had on her long underwear because it was so cold out here. But she worked quite diligently for all the various projects that the Historical Society was putting on. It was just we couldn't have done it without everybody's cooperation. Fred Weir was the contractor that was hired to redo what is now the cottage. I drove by one day and there was nothing standing there but the fireplace, and so it was, which was quite a shock. But it turned out that there were some things wrong with that building. So he rebuilt it, and it's a very popular part of the complex. The city staff volunteered. We had probably 2,500 volunteers. There were, every room had to have a volunteer to hand out certain information and so forth. And so I made aprons and used the logo, the little emblem that's above the windows, and put that on, and everybody wore those aprons when they were showing off the designer show house. Mary Higgins was very instrumental in the gardens and coordinating that. We had 20 designers. I'm so sorry to say that many of them aren't with us anymore. The living room was done by Stegman's. Norman Miller did the cottage, to mention a few that are no longer businesses that are operating today. We had 20 designers and 12 landscapers, and everybody just worked real well together. Once we fought through the idea that this was to be a coordinated house, why they really put forth a great deal of effort, and it was a great project. Like I said, we raised some $21,000, and we turned around and spent the money on some of the furnishings. We had to be careful that we didn't keep too much because it had to be flexible, and nobody wants to move heavy furniture around, so we had to be real careful with that. Following the close of the designer show house, Elder Biermans came out and did their advertising brochure throughout the house with various pieces of furniture that they put in here. And the Ohio Magazine featured us with an article on 3 Centervilles in Ohio, and of course we were the biggest, and so it was brought a lot of attention to Centerville, Ohio. One of my fun things to do before it was finished was to pop in at the various businesses around here and say, "What are they doing across the street there?" Nobody knew me then, and so I could say that, and they'd say, "Oh, the city's got some kind of a project over there." And it was never negative. It was just, well, we don't really know what they're doing. So anyhow, I made presentations to various clubs and as to what we were going to do, and some people thought I was nuts, and where's Mike? But Mike thought I was crazy when I did it to the City Beautiful, but then he jumped in and cooperated. So that's always kind of the fun part, is that, oh golly, what's she up to now? But anyhow, it was a great project, and one I remember with a lot of fond memories. When it was over with, I received thank you notes from the committee members, which were really heartwarming. Everybody had such a great time in doing what they had done. We had entertainment that was scheduled by Connie Watkins, and I have no idea where she is now, but she scheduled everything from kid programs to very talented musicians. Of course, the piano in there is a Steinway that had been given to the Nutt daughter, and I've forgotten her name. Anybody remember? Laura Nutt, back in the 1800s, and it had been saved by the Historical Society. And so it's if you notice it's a shortened keyboard. It's one of the few square pianos that were ever made. They were just made for a short period of time, and it only has, instead of the 88 keys, I think it's 83 keys. So it was, which belongs here because this was part of the Nutt, original Nutt farm. So anyhow, with that, I will turn it over. Am I to introduce, turn it over to Mr. Kingseed and for the rest of the program. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sally. You know, this really is such a great occasion to be able to recognize people who've done so much to make this city an even better place. And my role right now is to recognize some of the founders, as well as some of the other folks who've been so involved in making this a success. I guess the first, when we talk about the members of council who were part of this, first person I want to have stand just to be recognized individually is, again, the person that I think had more to do with making this a success than anyone else in the city, and that is Sally Beals. Next, I want to give official thanks and recognition to Shirley Hines, who, of course, as you know, was the mayor when this idea first came in, and who guided us through this, and who, as I mentioned earlier, was involved in so many of the great things that have come to fruition over the last 20 years, whether it's the golf course or Stubbs or Benham's, things that took a lot of bold leadership and took a lot of guts, frankly. I think I was young enough on council, I didn't really know enough to be scared about some of the things that were going on. But Shirley was a calm leader who took us through it all, and I think it's greatly appreciated, and I want to recognize Shirley Hines. Next, I've had the privilege of serving on council either as a council member or as mayor, good heavens, I guess for 22 years now. And throughout that entire process, I've had the pleasure of working with Jim Singer. Jim has been on council for more than 3 decades, and during that entire time, he's demonstrated his leadership ability. He's headed up some very important commissions during that time, and has been involved as one of the people helping make this city such a unique place. And Jim, you were here earlier. Is Jim? Oh, did Jim? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't do that timing-wise very well.
Just had to leave to go to an appointment.
Oh, okay, okay. But I do want to recognize Jim Singer. He was in on the beginning of this and helped lead us through it. So even though he's not here to hear it, let's give a round of applause to Jim. I've also had the privilege of serving on council for almost that entire period, although Brooks did take a step out to go back into private practice. But Brooks Compton has been on council. He was really one of my mentors when I first came on board. He'd been serving, I think, for 4 or 6 years before then. And Brooks has also demonstrated great leadership ability throughout the entire time he's been on council. He has been deputy mayor in the past, and he's deputy mayor again now, selected by his colleagues. And Brooks was also heavily involved in the thought process and the planning and making this a success. So Brooks. We also all remember and all love J.V. Stone, and we know that he's up there looking down on this great city, and he was such a key part of everything that happened. And even though J.V.'s not here, he is represented by 2 remarkable women, Eleonora and also Sharma Stone. I wanted to recognize, in addition to the folks who are on council during that really historic and really innovative era that has done so much, some of the key staff and the volunteers and the people who, in addition to what I think all of you have done here, deserve special recognition. Sally mentioned some of the work that Judy Gilliland did, but Judy, I know, is a key member of the staff who was working with Sally on this project. Judy has gone on, I guess, to bigger and better things. She is now the city manager at Middletown, but I wanted to recognize Judy Gilliland. And also someone that I mentioned earlier who showed up in the video in a younger guise. But I know Steve Feverston just spent hundreds of hours here, and he was heavily involved in the planning and all of the development activity. Steve Feverston. In addition, Sharma Stone. I know Sharma was so heavily involved working on so many of the important details here back in '91 and '92 and thereafter, and I think that she deserves special recognition. Sharma? I wanted to give special thanks as well to the people who over the years have served as the administrator of Benham's Grove. That's obviously a crucially important function here. I mean, those are the folks who kind of maintain things on a day-to-day basis. They work with the residents and the folks who are coming out here to plan weddings and events and really do what they need to do to make this special and to really make sure that the dream of Benham's Grove comes to fruition for people so they can come out here and enjoy the grounds and take advantage of everything that's here. And we have a number of the former administrators here. First, I wanted to recognize Jim Ruppert. Also wanted to recognize former administrator Judy Kunis. I understand that Tricia Rapak is not here, but I know she served as administrator. And of course, we don't want to forget our friend, our dear friend Anita Besco, who is no longer with us. But I wanted to give special shout out to the folks that worked with the designers show house and the gardens. I know, as Sally mentioned, that was such an important part of getting Benham's Grove going. And if any of you are in attendance, please stand up to be recognized. The folks who worked on that project. And then lastly, I wanted to just make sure that we don't forget anyone, either on the staff or volunteers or really anyone who's helped over the years. I mean, this has been a 20-year project of love for so many hundreds of people, and it's benefited so many thousands of people. So I really, maybe we're just applauding ourselves here, but I want us to give a round of applause to everyone here for all that you've done over the last 2 decades here. Well, that does happen from time to time. That's all right. Well, I'm going to turn this over to Sally Blumel in just a minute, but I do want to maybe make a suggestion to Sally and perhaps to the city manager, Mr. Horn. I had never thought about this, but hearing some of the comments, I do think that with that fireplace and that cozy thing, the cottage would be a darn fine man cave. And I think I just want to plant that idea just in case it comes up.
Thank you so much, and this has been wonderful. I mean, I'm just close to tears, but it has been a wonderful, wonderful day. I can't thank you all enough for attending, and I can't really add much more than what Shirley and Sally said about this place and what Mayor Kingsley said about what it means to all of us. But I'm so appreciative for all your hard work and dedication and the support that all of you still show to us every day. It's just amazing. I'd like to first thank the Friends of Benham's Grove. Without them, we wouldn't have our brick plaza out here, just one of the many things that they've given us, plus the pergola, the Friends Plaza behind the barn, celebration gardens, so many things. And they today gave us this wonderful brunch from Welton. So I thank you for that. And then the volunteer, Mary Jo Webster, who can come out here. She was the volunteer on behalf of Friends who has done quite a lot of work today. Our MC and friend, my friend, Kim Ferris of 94.1.5 Light FM. Gosh, Kimmy. The talented Mike Glenn of Glenn Productions. And his daughter, Sarah, will be getting married here on August 5th. So we look forward to that. Okay, and then our photographer Ashley Lynn, who couldn't stay, she just purchased a little building over here on Iron Gate Drive, so she's over here a lot taking photos. Miami Valley Cable Council, Joe, again, thank you so much. I don't know what I would do without you guys. You give us so much publicity and just do so much for Benham's, and you always have over the years, and we really appreciate that. The Centerville Washington Township Historical Society, who really helped me in doing some research. I mean, I thought when I was done, just up until today, I would know everything about this, but I've learned so many new things today about Benham's Grove and all it took to get this project completed. And then Cousins Party and Tent Rental, I want to thank them. But particularly the current staff of Benham's Grove, Margot Posick, Michelle Donaher, and Travis Copeland, who always give 110%. Randy Bishop, who did all of the decorating, as you know, for this event. He's been here for 3 days straight, so it's time for him to go home. And he's been hosting events here for 11 years. 11 years he's been here. So, and there's one who used to be here with us, Ryan, what's your name? Oh, McElhaney, Ryan McElhaney. Ryan just, he's been gone now 2 weeks. He's been here, he was here at Benham's for 6 years? 7 years, and just left us, but is still on call, just for a few things. And so we think we know everything, but we're not sure. So, they are the reason that people come to Benham's Grove. I think one of the reasons. We know there are many other ones, but they make people feel comfortable. They want them to have a good time while they're here. And it is a gathering place, and I hear a lot of stories from people who have been here for Americana and graduation parties, and their sons got married here, and their fathers are being honored here at a bereavement, and it's a comforting place for people to come back to. You know, I think that they just grown up here, and it's like their home too, and we want people to always feel like that. We always want them to feel welcome. We always want them to leave with a smile, and not every event is perfect. We know that, and we know we still have lots to do too. I mean, we know the grounds look beautiful, but there's still a lot of honeysuckle out there, I'm telling you. There's still a lot of poison ivy. And if anybody want to work in those woods with us, come on down, because we are more than happy to spray you off and let you go at it. But we do the best we can. And without the support of the city, obviously, our wonderful council, I'm amazed at the city council and how supportive they are, and our public works department, finance department, human resources, Yankee Trace. We borrow things from Yankee Trace all the time, and they're great. We give each other referrals, and so it's nice having a younger sister like that, I guess you might say, but that Yankee Trace is there. A particular from the city staff, Marlene Russell Hodson, who is also a longtime friend of mine, but is just amazing at how, I think, outside of God and family, I think you love Benham's Grove more than anybody. I really do. I mean, she's always been a part of this place, and you know, because she's always promoting us and seeing what we need to get done. And then Kristen Gottman, who has the awesome task of being our liaison to the city manager. I mean, she is just amazing. She gives so much assistance and help and goes above and beyond. And then, of course, Greg Horn, who keeps providing guidance and support. And I can't thank him enough for allowing me to be where I am today. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful boss. And we're also thankful we don't have a putting green here, though, because he lives really close, and he might come over a lot more. So we don't want that. So don't be raising money. You can fish, though. There's plenty of fishing back there. We'd be happy to do that. But thank you all. And please, before you go, I know you've looked at the displays and things, and we have a calendar of events out there if you want to take for the coming year. But I just ask that you guys happy, healthy, and always come back. Always come home. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.